Hey y'all,
My name is Kayla Walker,
Desai.
and I'm Chandu Changova.
and we're three freshmen here at UNC Charlotte, live from Levine Hall.
Levine Live is a podcast that's here to bring you the details on the Levine Scholarship Program.
We'll be discussing everything from our experiences digging holes at Knowles to our nerve-wracking experiences on finalist weekend.
Be sure to tune in here every week for some heartfelt advice, some funny stories, and a good time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Levine Live. How was everyone's week?
My week was pretty great. It's only the first week, so all we did was just syllabus review and then just got started with coursework, but nothing too major.
Yeah, my week was pretty good too. Pretty chill. Like everything has been online since we got back because of COVID, but it's just honestly it's a little bit nice to just get like readjusted with like online classes, and again syllabus week is pretty easy. So also we got snow this week, so that was really fun. We went outside and played in the snow yesterday. So what about you?
I think it was pretty chill. The only thing is, like, in high school, you're just used to, like, one schedule the whole year. And you just get, like, into that habit. So just when I got used to, like, the first semester, the second semester is, like, brand new classes. The good thing is, like, there's some, like, overlap in where they're held. So, like, you know how to get there and stuff. But I think it's, like, a nice change. And it keeps you on your toes a little.
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking about NOLS, which from the last video you've heard that NOLS is a requirement that you do right before going into your first year. So we just got back 6 months ago, but it feels like yesterday. So this episode we're solely talking about NOLS.
Yeah, and since that's a requirement for all first year students, we wanted to give you this special episode just like solely dedicated to NOLS because like there's so much to go through. And also if you guys come to Levine next year, that'll be your first thing that you do with Levine.
And this is probably a video you're going to be looking back to a lot because we're going to give you advice, tips, maybe some funny stories to just kind of get you acclimated because when you're a finalist, it's hard to imagine you at Knowles.
Yeah.
But it sneaks up on you once you become a scholar for sure. So everything from boots, like breaking into your boots and then to actually being in the backcountry and stuff like that. This will be a fun episode for sure.
So I guess our first thing is, what is NOLS? NOLS stands for the National Outdoor Leadership School, and it's a 24-day backpacking trip where you will fly from wherever you're from, and you will fly into Denver, Colorado, and drive up to Lander, Wyoming, where you will go. There will be 20 of you guys, about 20 of you guys in your cohort, and you'll split into two groups of 10, and you'll have two instructors plus a Levine liaison. So for our NOLS group, we had Portia, who is in the Levine office, go with us, and in the other NOLS group, they had a professor here at UNC Charlotte. His name is Eric. Go with them. So that's kind of like the overview of what NOLS is, and so you guys want to talk about like kind of why we do NOLS? That's like the biggest thing I know for me when I like heard that we have to do. I'm like, why are they sending 20 smart kids into the wilderness to like fend for ourselves for like 25 days?
No, I definitely, like, I had trouble figuring out why, and I was like, and, like, I think I touched on this last episode where I talked about well-roundedness and just, like, building on character and not just your resume and stuff like that. And let me tell you, it pushed character a lot. Just because, personally, like, I know Kayla and, like, Daria, like, all three of us don't really hike, and we don't really do that kind of, like, strenuous, like, exercise, genuinely, like, every day for 25 days. And so, like, walking in, I'm sure you guys felt the same with nervousness and just having to carry your whole life, or, like, your whole life for the next 25 days on your back for how many ever miles a day. So, I didn't understand why we'd have to do it. I just knew that at the end I would know. Yeah. Like, I knew that it would take a while to know, but...
Yeah. And especially, like, now, after, like, coming back from the trip, and especially, like, getting acclimated back into the real world, now I, like, really understand, like, why. Like, yes, we were there 25 days. Since we were also in COVID, like, our finals weekend was during COVID, we didn't even, like, maybe, like, make a friend during finals weekend that we might have once we got into Levine. We were just fully virtual. The most we did was, like, in the last, like, social that we had, people were just like, what's your all's Instagrams?
Right.
So, like, I think I followed, like, 5 people from, like, the 70 that were, like, there. So, like, no connections, and then somehow, like, we somehow managed to make an Instagram group. But, like, the connections that we had, you don't really talk about anything. You're just like, we're just asking, like, oh, what do I bring to Knowles? What do I do? If anyone else had like a question or something, that's what we would do for Instagram, and that's how we'd be like connected. But then like going into Knowles and like staying at Knowles, everyone would be like connected in a different way.
Right.
Like even hiking every day. Most of us like made it like what is it called? Most of us like wanted to like talk to someone else new, talk to someone new, so we could have like those conversations with them. And like now coming here, I see like why that was important, because especially within our 10 person group, where we each have like a different connection to each person in the group. Some people are like immediate first callers. Some other ones are like, oh, if I'm doing something, I'll just like call you right away.
Right. Yeah.
We know some people are like good at this. That's what we call them for that. So it's like we just like made so many connections in those like 25 days that I don't think you would make if you like came into college without knowing anyone.
For me, I think community was my biggest thing. Like when I like asked, like talked to, current scholars while I was like in my finalist weekend and like about to go to Knowles, like I was like, just like I needed something to hold on to like get through that experience. And the community is like the thing I heard like across the board, like developing a community. Like when you just like live in tents with these people and like dig holes with these people, like and you just like there's something special that just like comes out of that, like to come to college having 10 people, who are like your best friend, like closest friends because you were with them through that, plus the other 10 from the other cohort who also like, even though we weren't with them for those like 25 days, like we just all went through the same experience. So that community that you built is just something totally different than like anything else you can get elsewhere. So that was the thing I held on to like in the hard moments at Knowles when we were like trying to walk up this huge mountain and I'm like trying to quit.
Yeah.
And like another thing is, for me, the biggest takeaway was just like, I think breaking through like social barriers, just because like Daria, you were mentioning how everything was like online. And like I was just used to like a whole year of online and just like talking through a screen or just like being able to take back what I say and stuff like that, which works on an online format. But like once you're in the woods for 25 days with 10 people, 20 people you never met before, it's like a really like humbling experience, just because you're like, okay, there is no way for me to filter myself. There's absolutely no way. So like you're either going to like me or you're not, or I'm gonna have to like change a few things and stuff like that. So it's like it's like worth it in the long run, I feel like. In the beginning it was hard. But
no, especially like since we don't have any connection to the world, all we had were us like 13 people. So it was us 10 and then 2 instructors and our Levine liaison, which was Portia. So it was just us 13 just trying to get to know each other on a different level. Even the instructors didn't know each other before coming in, which was like totally insane as well. But like we came in not knowing anyone. So either you could go 25 days without talking to anyone if you were online. But like being in person with not having anyone else there, and you can't even like connect to your best friend. You can't be like, oh, I don't like this person. Like, you can't like rant about anyone. The only person you can rant to are the people that are there. So like, yes, you will have some downsides. You will have some arguments. But I feel like going in the backyard and like, not backyard, but the back country, going in the back country, having those arguments there, we were able to like really like mature ourselves and like go through them on a different level than we would have if we were just came to college. We'd have our phones and we'd just be talking and like meeting up through them.
And I think there's like a good part of like getting rid of arguments and stuff like that then in the summer. And, like, getting to know people in the summer before, like, the stress of school and the stress of living together and all that comes into play. Just because, like, once you're here, like, once you're at Charlotte after Wyoming, it just feels much better. Like, you know how to deal with arguments with certain people. You know how to deal with their bad days. Because it's much easier when you have power and when you have accessible bathrooms. And there's just a new level of appreciation, which you don't usually get.
We always say, like, if you can go through Knowles, you can get through anything here. I think another kind of, like, thing associated with that and, like, why Knowles is, like, meeting outside of a place of comfort. I think, like, even though, like, before I was a finalist and before before I went, I didn't really understand it. Like,
Yeah.
I know when I had one of my mentor check-ins, Marissa was the one who asked me, like, oh, like, what setting would you have liked to meet these people in? And I'm like, well, like, had we met in, like, an academic setting, I would have presented myself completely different.
Right.
But, like, meeting at Knowles, it's, like, it's just you. Like, there's no, like, layers that you can put up, like, no mask that you can, like, wear to, like, hide your... Like, it's just you and your personality and you getting to know people, like, their authentic selves, which I think is, like, super important.
Yeah, and then, like, we were all there with literally nothing. We'd have food for 7 days, 5 days, 2 pairs of clothes. So, me being more prepared than I should have, I brought, like, a whole closet knowing that I had to leave more than half of that behind. And then I ended up only taking 2 shirts, 2 pair of shorts, and then layering if when it got cold and when it didn't get cold. So we're there with literally nothing. You don't have anything like you could, like, yes, you will have, like, some personal stuff that you bring. So, like, I brought a small Rubik's Cube. Someone brought a book to read. So you will have your personal stuff, but you won't be seen in, like, you won't find yourself just, like, going through your personal stuff every single time. You have other people there, and that's, like, when we made, like, the real connections.
Yeah.
Which was nice. And then also, like, yes, it's a leadership school, so we did pick up leadership skills as well.
I think also, like, with, like, leadership skills is one main thing, and also, like, team bonding. Like, again, like what we touched on, like, any issue that, like, comes up, like, in the backcountry, you solve it, like, basically then and there or within 24 hours. And then now, like, as soon as you get out, like, any problem, like, you learn how to work through problems. You learn how to work in teams and get, like, I think we, like, learn how to take care of each other. Like, you're only as strong as your weakest link, so we all lift everyone up to get up that mountain when we're, like, summiting and, you know, cross those boulder fields and just, like, all the different things. So I think overall it's just, like, super important and that, like, literally I feel like the community compares to, like, nothing I think could bond us like that.
Right. What were, like, everyone's feelings when they first heard, like, Knowles was a requirement, like, in the informational sessions in Finalist Weekend?
Alright, so it was a little challenging. It was first of all, I've never done any backpacking before. Like, yes, I played sports. I've gone gone with my friends to a campsite and stuff like that, and I've picked up my friends from, like, their Boy Scout backpacking trips. But me personally, I've never went backpacking before, so, like, I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. And my friends were like, oh, you'll be fine. Like, so Knowles and Boy Scout, like, camping trips are mainly different in the fact that digging, we don't, like, in Knowles, there was nothing there. Like, we're actually in the wilderness where there's no, like, people. There's no nothing. So, and, like, I think my friends were talking about, oh, you'll be fine. And then, because, like, they were talking about, oh, they had, like, bathrooms they could go to because they were at campsites.
Right.
We don't have campsites. We only had a campsite when we first entered.
We make our own campsite.
Yeah, exactly. But we only had a campsite when we first entered. When we got off the bus that dropped us right before we, like, go walk into the wilderness, that was our first campsite. And that we were there for probably 20 minutes just to get water so that we could start hiking. And then we were at our campsite when we left the day before the bus came to pick us up. Those were the only 2 times we were at an actual campsite with an actual bathroom. Other than that, out in the wilderness, no water, no running water, no nothing. No shower, no nothing. Like, nothing there. So I was scared for sure. And me personally, I did not know we were supposed to go on a Knowles program until I got accepted as a finalist.
Yeah.
So I got accepted as a finalist, got to the information panel, I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
If I get accepted, I have to go there.
Right.
There's no way I could back out.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's, like, interesting if I have to go there. Like, I did not think, like, I would, like, looking back, like, I did not think I was gonna, like, be here, like, be doing Knowles and, like, yeah, so that was really interesting. I was definitely concerned. I, like, thought we were going to be living, like, survivor style, like, walking, like, nothing. I mean, I thought there was going to be way less civilization than I think there. I mean, it was out in the wilderness, but I don't know. I just completely thought we were going to be, like, fending for ourselves, hunting, like, doing all types of stuff. But it was okay. Like, you get through it, and it's not that bad.
I remember, like, not processing. I'm like, oh, okay, like, a 25-day backpacking trip. That sounds fine. And I was like you. I was just like, yeah, if I get there. Like, that's a problem for future Tembu. And then my dad that day was like, oh, like, how's your information session? What is Knowles? And I was like, oh, we could just go on a 25-day backpacking trip. And he's like, you know how big that is? Like, you should, like, start walking now. And I'm like, I'm still a finalist. Like, I'm probably not going to go. And he's like, no, like, look into it. And, like, we looked into Knowles, and we looked into, like, the Wind River Range and Lander and stuff like that. And I just remember seeing pictures and seeing how beautiful it was, and then realizing I'd have to walk for that beauty. So I was definitely nervous, but I didn't process it at all.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
One thing was, I heard about Knowles, and I was like, it's okay if I don't get the scholarship. Like, I'd rather stay home, enjoy my summer. But no, now looking back at it, I'm actually happy, like, I went on Knowles. Like, even if I didn't get the scholarship, I wish I would, like, either, like, maybe not this summer, but another summer, at least went on a Knowles trip or, like, some backpacking trip. Because, like, being out in the wilderness was just, like, a different experience that you, like, never would have again.
Right.
Yeah. I was in between two, like, scholarship programs before I chose Levine. And, like, Knowles was definitely in the con column. Not gonna lie. But, I'm glad, even though... Like, I think it's also just, like, a break from reality. Like, going through, like, 2020, which was stressful, COVID, all of the political things, like, that was also stressful. And then that was, like, just a time in my summer, which I've done, like, things, activities constantly throughout my summers and stuff. That was, like, a break that I literally had to do nothing but, like, walk and, like, eat and survive. So it was, even though I did not necessarily want to, like, go backpacking and walking, like, it was really like, that was the one good thing that I really appreciated, was just, like, all I had to do was exist and survive.
Yeah.
So what were, like, after you guys accepted the scholarships, how did, like, some of those things change from, like, being a finalist to not, like, oh, that's, like, interesting, maybe I'll have to do that one day, to, like, oh, now I, like, actually have to prepare and go do that?
So, like, once I accepted the scholarship, I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to, like, my progression from being nervous slowly changed to, like, looking forward to it, especially, like, with, like, the current scholars, like, helping us prepare and everything.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, I started slowly, like, getting, like, oh, I want to do this. It'd be nice. And, like, when I was talking to my friends, they're like, yeah, you'll like it. Like, I would, like, they wanted to be on, like, this. They wanted to do it as well. So I was like, oh, yeah. I'm, like, one of the very few that are being able to, like, go and, like, enjoy this time with, like, no worries, no nothing, just surviving, eating, sleeping.
And it's fully funded.
Fully funded. All you have to do, live, eat, sleep, and walk.
Yeah.
But that's all we have to do. So I started, like, wanting to go. Until, like, a week before Knowles. And then I was like, why am I doing this?
No, for me, I didn't, like, I think this is just, like, how I deal with my problem. I just, like, ignored it until my boots were delivered. When I got those boots, I was like, oh, no. Yeah. Like, what did I do? And then my dad took me hiking, literally the day I got my boots. And it was this really steep hill. And, like, I feel like you have to, like, build trust with your boots before you do something major. And he's like, just walk. And it was really scary. And I was like, I can't do this with a backpack on my back. And, like, I broke into my boots and I was walking and stuff. I'm just like, 25 days of this? Question mark. But, and I think that feeling stayed up until, like, I was on the flight to Lander by myself. I was flying for the first time by myself. So I was, like, overly cautious. And then I was the first one there, too.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just, like, communicating with people, like, hey, I'm here. Einstein bagels. Right next to Einstein.
That did not work out. No, that did not work out. You were terrible with your eyes.
And so it's just, it was crazy. It's a whirlwind. It sneaks up on you.
Yeah. I know for me, like, I kept, like, telling people, like, oh, like, what are you doing for the summer? I'm going to UNC Charlotte. And I'm like, well, I'm going on a backpacking trip for, like, 25 days. And they're like, so camping? Hiking? I'm like, no. Backpacking. Surviving in the wilderness. So I was also in denial. And, like, every time I went to, like, REI to, like, get my stuff, like, they were like, oh, my God, that's so awesome. Like, I hope you have a great time. And I'm like, a great time? Like, I genuinely did not think, like, that I would be enjoying, like, any bit of that. But I think, I was also still in denial, and I think leading up, like, at the airport, like, once we got to Denver, and, like, I was on the bus, and I was like, I still can't believe, like, this is a joke. Like, who's gonna, like, cut the cameras? Right. Like, where? So I was still very much in denial all the way up until we went into, we dropped out. We were at the campsite.
And I would push back everything as much as I could. I knew I was, like, a pain for all, like, Portia, because, like, I pushed back ordering my shoes until like I think I was like one of the very last people to order my shoes. One, because I also have a pretty big feet, so that was pretty hard to find. Like I went to 2 REI stores just to get like one pair of shoes that would like at least fit me, like try them on, because I wanted to try on the one pair before I could just order a random one online. Yeah. But like I was one of the very last people to order, so I just kept on pushing back. And my mom was like, "Are you ready? Are you like, getting ready? Like, are you packing anything? Like you're gonna be gone for 25 days. Like why aren't you packing?" Right. I didn't start packing until like 2 days before the flight, or like 1 day before the flight. And like since we also graduated, it was like graduation season, so like I'd also be at graduation parties, not doing anything either. So I was just like pushing it back, like just like you, future diarrhea problem, future diarrhea problem.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and none of us had any. That was my next question. Like, did anyone have backpacking, hiking, camping, Boy Scouts? None of that.
No, the most I had was like from my like temple. We had a 1-day stay at a campsite, but there was no hiking involved. We had food. We all brought food. Brought like straight like fresh fruit, bagels, cooked. Like we had utensils and everything. Right. It was just a campsite. It was just like a place where we went to a campsite and just sat there. It's like we could get away from like the real world. Right. But other than that, no, nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, if you have no experience, like
you'll survive.
You'll get through it. Like it's hard, but you will end up on the other side. So that's good. And how did you guys like prepare for NOLS? Like I know one major thing that I heard was like breaking in your boots, like wearing your clothes as well. Like breaking your clothes. What types of things did you guys do to prepare?
One thing I want to like emphasize is breaking in your boots. Like, and you'll get like emails in all caps about breaking in your boots from Portia and Dr. Z. And that's not them being dramatic. That's literally them saving your life, because especially if you haven't like walked a lot in the past or like hiked a lot, it's a real pain once you get to Lander that you're carrying this like 25-pound like backpack on your back and your feet are killing you.
Not 25. Maybe a little bit more.
Wait, 50-pound backpack?
Around 50. Yeah. Not 25.
Double that.
Double it.
Yeah.
Like, you would think walking in like your new boots will be fine when you like first get them. So you'd be like, it's fine. That's kind of what I did. But don't do that. Because once you put that backpack on, it's like, oh crap, my feet are pushing forward.
Right.
That's why like we also like they recommend you get like a size up.
Size up.
Yeah, half a size to a size up on your boots as well. Because when you walk downhill, your feet will push forward, so you don't stub your toes. You don't like get blisters on your toes. So breaking in them boots really works. Also, what I found helpful was I got a pair of soles, like memory foam, like insoles, which helped. And then other than that, what I did to prepare was like we have the Living program has a transition team that will help you like not only transition to college, but also like start transitioning into NOLS as well. You have mentors once you get accepted that will also like, well, mine and Kayla, so me and Kayla had the same mentor. We got a care package from our mentor. Yeah, that with was, like super goodies nice. Like what was it? Bandanas,
water flavor, like mints, gum,
right?
Just cookies, like a few essentials.
And then that's also something else I would recommend. Make sure you take some powdered flavor water.
Yes, there will be flavor in your water, and you will not like the taste of it. Yes, just a little bit of trail spice added in there.
Yeah. So, do you want to get into all about NOLS? Yeah. So, we're going to detail everything that we can for you.
Everything we can remember.
If you want us to go in depth, like day by day, every video, let us know. We could detail every single day we had at NOLS.
We really could.
Yeah, and we'll try to also add some pictures in here as well, so you can like. I know that's the biggest thing that helps me, like actually seeing what everything looks like, what we would be doing. So let's get into it. So day 1 or day 0, depending on what you count, is airport travel day.
All right.
So how was the airport for you guys?
Okay, so for instaters, so I'm from North Carolina, so we all the in-state people go to Charlotte and they fly from there because that's where Portia will be, that's where Dr. Z will be. For us, like we sent off from Charlotte. They'll send us off. So your parents will drive you down here. We all get together. We got here at like 4 a.m. And you want to be on time because we are not waiting for anyone. We started going. We got there, and then once we got to the our gate, we just chilled out for a bit because we would rather be there early than late. So we just chilled out, and then we got to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it for you guys? Because you're out-of-staters, though.
For me, well, my parents both dropped me off at the airport, and I remember, like, the last thing I said to my dad before I left him was, like, crying, "This is gonna suck." Like, so that was fun, but I just took my flight. I'd flown alone before, so it wasn't, like, too bad, like, you know, just going through security. And I remember once we got to the airport, you were there first, and then me and Madison, we were all roommates, so we had, like, kind of talked before. So we had, like, met at the airport and, like, went, like, sat around, like, baggage claim or something like that. So not too bad.
Yeah. For me, it was, like, emotionally charged, where I was, like, okay, so I'm gonna do this, and my mom was, like, bawling. She's like, "No, don't go." And I'm like, "You have no idea." Like, I will not. Don't tempt me. And it was just, like, I never flown alone before. And, like, I haven't, like, I think took an airplane in however many years.
Yeah,
so
just because of COVID, too.
Yeah, so it was nerve-wracking because security checks scare me. But, and, like, I was carrying this, like, all this stuff for backpacking. So I didn't know how much they would let through.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So that was really interesting. But I got there, and I got there first, which was kind of a, like, nice in of itself, just because I could pick out where everyone would meet me. I wouldn't need to, like, figure out everything when I got there. I give okay directions. But yeah, I think it was
Okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, okay
got
directions.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We spent 20 minutes trying to find them. 20 minutes off of her directions.
Me and Madison were able to find her.
She gave us different directions
No,
for sure.
no.
She said next to Einstein's Bagels. You guys were across Einstein Bagels.
If you literally looked
we
next
had 3 separate groups. The instators, like, split up into groups because, like, so once we got there, since we were still waiting on other, like, out-of-state people to come in, Dr. Z and Portia were like, okay, since you haven't had any, like, breakfast, because our plane took off before stores opened in Charlotte, so we didn't have any breakfast since 4 a.m. And we all been up since 4 a.m. So we got off, and they were like, okay, if you want any food, go get food right now. So we all got food, and so we were all separated, like, in, like, our all small groups, like 3 to 4 people. So 3 to 4 people, like, 3 to 4 groups try to find you guys, and none of us could find you for, like, 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, listen. I feel like if you just looked a little bit around Einstein Bagels, you would have seen 3 short people with green shirts on and figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Anyways.
So, yeah, after we got everyone into the airport, Mackenzie was the last person. She missed her connection. It wasn't her fault, but yeah. After we got everyone, we loaded up on a bus, and we got Subway. That was good. And then we went to Lander for our 6 hours bus ride.
Yeah.
The bus ride, let me tell you, was interesting. Like, I think that was, like, the first time every one of us had, like, our first real conversations with everybody or whoever we were around.
First time meeting everyone, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, there was the quiet kids, and then there were, like, really loud kids, and then there was just, it was nice. I felt like it was a peaceful, like, good environment.
And somehow we split up kind of according to what our Knowles group was going to be like the 10 and 10 people. We somehow found I don't know what we did, but, like, by accident, 7 to 8 of us were already in, like, our group was already in the back, and then 7 to 8 of the other group was in the front of the seat.
Yeah.
So it just happened to be, like, we already started talking with the 10 people we were going to be for 25 days.
Yeah.
And in those 6 hours, we started counting cows.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know what you guys will do, but we started counting cows.
It was a long bus ride. We had nothing to do. So we looked outside and there were cows. So we counted cows.
I remember, like, waking up from a nap, and, like, everyone was just, like, outside, like, screaming and yelling, like, whose side had more cows? And I was like, okay. I mean,
there were a lot. Like, I think combined we counted, like, around 2,000 cows.
Yeah, there were a lot.
We estimated, but, like, there were a lot of cows.
Yeah.
So after we got to Lander and we got to, like, the site that we would be staying at, you sleep in tents your first night.
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting.
Oh, about that. Shower before you fly.
Yes.
That will be your last shower.
Yes.
That will be your last shower.
There is no shower once you get to the base camp.
Once you get on the plane, you can't shower anymore until after you come out of your backpacking trip.
Yeah. So cherish it while you have it. And then so after we spent the night there, the food at base camp is really good.
Yeah.
Just to mention. So.
The cooks are amazing.
Yeah. We had pizza the first day because we came in late because they thought we were going to get dinner before. But then since we came in late, we couldn't get dinner. So we only had pizza the first night, like the first night we were there. But in the morning, first we got there, they started debriefing us about NOLS. So like we all sat in a big group, and all 4 of the instructors, because there's going to be 4, they just started talking about NOLS, introduced themselves, and then we split up into the 10 people, or 10 groups who like the 2 groups of 10 that we were going to be with that night. And then we went to sleep.
Kayla was in my first tent group.
Yeah.
She was insanely quiet. And insanely closed up, and you could tell she hated it.
I did. I was not having a great day. And that next morning I woke up and my eye was randomly swollen. I think I got a mosquito bite. There's a lot of mosquitoes, so just mentally prepare yourself.
Mosquito nets are hideous, but they will save your life.
Yeah.
I did not want to be there particularly. I was if you're quiet, I was pretty closed off the first couple of days, but you just get used. I think someone said 24 hours in the backcountry is 1 month or 1 week or something like that in the front country. So you just after 3 days of that, best friends, not quiet at all.
It's literally sleeping over at your friend's house for 25 days straight.
Right.
Sharing a 10 by 10 tent.
Yeah. So some of us since COVID was dying down, we were able to sleep in tents with the regular amount of people, so 3 to 4 people per group, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then after we slept that first day, then we woke up. My tent group, on the bus, me and a few other guys got close. So we woke up early and we were okay, let's play some games. So they had we had a frisbee. We started tossing frisbee until breakfast was ready and everything like that. And then everyone else woke up, and then we started talking to them for a little bit, and then breakfast came out. Breakfast was amazing. Yes. Enjoy base camp food while you can.
When you don't have to cook for yourself.
Enjoy it. So nice.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a long month, but it would be fun when, I think it was the first night I talked to you, where we were writing in our journals. Everybody bring a journal.
Yes.
Bring a journal and write down, no matter how painful it is, what the day consisted of, because you will look back at it for sure.
I love it.
Or any thoughts.
Yeah, so we were at base camp, and I was okay, so I'm going to the backcountry tomorrow, and I was writing stuff down. And I was talking to Daria for the first time, and there was dead mosquitoes on my page. There was bugs everywhere. There was no light. And we had our phones for that night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, they were supposed to take our phones, but since service was bad and everything, we weren't able to call our parents.
Yeah.
So they were okay, we'll let you have your phones for another day. Also, because none of us had night lights then. So they were okay, you could use a phone as a flashlight until you get a night light.
A headlamp.
A headlamp, yeah.
Because there's absolutely no light.
Yeah.
It's pitch black.
So then the next day was when we got all of our gear, and we went to, what was that, ASI?
ASI, yeah.
Yeah, we went to ASI to get all of our gear. So you'll get your backpack, and you're just throwing pants and jackets and all of your different things that you need into your backpack, and then you'll go back to we went back to the camp that
base
we
camp,
stayed at. And that was fun. We learned how to pack a backpack that day, and just
keep hygiene,
all the things that you needed to do to live and survive in the backcountry, which was fun.
Yeah, one thing for sure though is to don't be shy with what you need. If you know you want something or you feel you'll need it in the backcountry, just buy it. Buy it if you don't have it, or ask for it or ask about it. Your experience at ASI will be the last time they can easily access stuff for you.
Yeah.
And you can easily access stuff for yourself, and you're going to need that. You can always be oh no, I'll brave it through, but 25 days in the backcountry is a lot longer than you think.
Yeah. So before we even got our stuff that morning after breakfast, we all sat with the stuff that we brought from home, and our instructors went through and said, you'll need this.
Right.
You could take this if you want, and don't bring this at all. Yeah. So we went through our stuff, and then they separated it out. And then we just had talked with them, saying, if I want to bring this, can I? Do I need to bring this? So make sure you have a good conversation with your instructor to know what you want, what you need. And then once we got to ASI, they took the list from our instructors and said, you have this, so you won't need this. And then they will supply you with the stuff that you still need. And at ASI, they split us up into groups, so, like, to help them out. We were also split up into groups so we could help them, like, prepare our re-rations. So our group made, like, we would put food in bags so they could, when re-rations comes, they could just bring those bags to us. And at that time, if you want to buy something, buy it, because that's the only food you will be able to, like, take from there. Because if you want chocolate, buy it from there. If you want any, like, food flavoring tablets, buy it from there.
And I think, like, that should ease your worries about packing, because I remember just how anxious I was when I was packing for Lander, because I've never hiked before, so I didn't know what I needed. So just, like, pack what you can and pack what you have. You will usually be able to take care of it over there, because you'll have that conversation with your instructor. They'll go through what you have and make sure you will have everything that you need to be successful in your 25 days. So rest reassured with that. And then, like, re-ration, I remember my biggest regret was being a little shy with that. So, like, I packed, like, an occasional, like, pack of trolley gummies and stuff like that. And just, like, I wasn't as stingy as I should have been, because those trolley gummies, like, once you get those re-ration on those 25 days, taste heavenly. And will be, like, the highlight of your day. So, and, like, just make sure that with your re-ration bag, stuff it. Like, get everything that you want. If you're a female, feminine hygiene products, don't be shy with those. Have a lot of them. And, like, your instructor should have them with them if you, like, run out. So, like...
But, like, have your own, just...
For sure. Don't be, like, stingy with your packing at all. Just, like, pack as much as you can. They will tell you to take stuff out if there's too much. But until they do, push your limits. Because you're going to want them and you're going to need them. And also, another thing I missed a lot, fresh fruit during the whole thing, because we only got that re-ration. So if you like fruit, pack dry fruit, or pack, like, fruit flavored stuff, or there's, like, hard candies that you can suck on that taste like fruit, or something
like that.
Jolly Ranchers. That was my trail name, Happy Farmer. That's what our instructor called me. So I think with me, I'm, like, a pretty picky eater. I don't think I realized that until I got to Knowles. But like, if there are things that you like, be cautious, because like, you have to, everything that you bring, you have to carry. But also, like, it's like, food is gonna dwindle and you're gonna eat it. So like, as like Jolly Ranchers, though, it's gonna be gone in a day. So kind of like, it's definitely a delicate balance between like packing enough stuff so that you're happy and like you have food that you can eat, because you have to eat. Like, walking 25 days, you have to like sustain your body and stuff, but also don't overpack. And like, again, the instructors will tell you if you're overpacking.
So going into food, after we packed our bags and after we got our stuff, we came back from ASI. Then we got split into our cook groups. And in our cook groups, so each person has their own restrictions. In our like group of 10, we had 4 vegetarians, and I think, and then like lactose intolerant. Not in our group of 10, but like
in everyone.
In everyone, there was one person who was a vegan. There was another person who had like, a lot of like restrictions, and Knowles like makes sure that they provide for your restrictions.
You'll have food. You'll have food. So we in cook groups you have the shared collective cook group food, like cheese, pasta, and like all-purpose flour and all stuff like that. But also you have your personal snacks. That's like trail mix, other stuff like that, and they provide. So if you're a vegetarian, they will replace like the summer sausages that you guys would have, or some other like non-veg alternative with the vegetarian alternative. So they provide for your restrictions. So that was really nice. Yeah, and I remember. So like, I think the first ration period, all the vegetarians in our group were put in a cook group together just to make it easier, so we could get used to cooking in cook groups. And it was nice because, like, we could just, like, whip up a pasta and everybody could eat it. And, like, people who could eat meat could add in their summer sausage whenever they want, and they wouldn't have to worry about it. But, like, once you progress, they change up the cook groups. So there's, like, one vegetarian each cook group. So then you have to start, like, once you get more familiar with the people, you have to start being considerate,
others and like other diet. Like, I feel like half the time I just like ate vegetarian anyways because it was easier. But it is good to like okay, like these are the needs of my team, and
Right.
this is what I have to do in order to like accommodate that and like work with, you know, whatever dietary restrictions that, I mean, the people who is in your cook group have.
Well, the main reason why they do it is like because in the future you don't know who you're gonna be with.
Right.
You might have to like live with them with the dietary restrictions, or you might have to cook for someone who has those dietary restrictions.
Yeah.
So it just like helps out when you start doing it like when you're younger, I guess. So even after that, then we learned how to like get our food, how we're gonna be preparing it, and then we split it up. We split up our food according to like who wants to carry what, and like then they'll tell you like how to like split up your food, how to pack it well, and everything like that, which was nice. And then with cooking in the backcountry, it's different where we wouldn't have a hot lunch. We would, because we're walking during that time,
Right.
so we would wake up, cook breakfast, then we'd split up into our like hiking group. We'd start hiking, and for lunch, what we would do was either if we cooked an extra like leftover like breakfast, we just packed that for lunch, or we just use the trail snacks that we have.
Yeah, and so like in the 10 groups, we're split into 2 groups of 10, and then we don't see the other 10 for 25 days.
Yeah.
But in your 10, you have hiking groups. So every day or like every other day, they switch it up to like groups of like 3 and 4. And that way, because there's 2 instructors and then 1 liaison. So there's like enough to split us up into even smaller groups to get to know each other even better. And have like one-on-one like lesson learning time with the instructors and hiking group. And you actually do have like lessons, which like kind of is underestimated because you don't realize it's an actual like school experience. But it's really neat. And then
lessons out in the backcountry are not like classes, like lectures. They're actually like kind of fun and like actually like informative. Like some of the things we talked about was like Native American like land and land allocation and land acknowledgements and stuff like that. Like different leadership type of lessons that we did. So yeah, everything out there was like pretty interesting. Kind of circling back to food, what was you guys' best meal and what was the worst meal? And also who cooked it?
Okay.
If you want to put them out there.
Okay. So I won't say like who cooked it, especially for the worst meal, I wouldn't say that. But like the best meal was from our cook, like from the students' point of view. I think the best meal was once when we had pasta after a long day and our caramel pancakes. So we did get birthday cake mix and we also had brownie mix, stuff like that. So we would not bake, but like kind of bake them into pancakes.
Yeah.
So we had instead of like regular like brownies that we would eat, we just make them into pancakes.
those are really good.
Anytime we had pancakes, they were amazing.
Yeah.
And like one of our other like cohort members had like small like cube caramel that he'd carry, so he gave them to us to put them in the pancakes, and they tasted heavenly. They were so good. I feel like that was the best meal. But then if we're talking about best meal like in the whole 25-day trip, I think it was when the instructors cooked for us.
Yeah.
There was one super long day, day 3. If you talk to any of us, like when you're here,
Someone will talk about
day 3.
The class of 2025.
Had day 3.
Yeah. But that day was super long. We didn't get to camp. It was like an accident. We didn't get to camp until like 8 o'clock at night or something like that.
It was dark.
Yeah, it was dark by the time we got there. And instead of like all of us like still like trying to like set up the stove and set everything up, the instructors cooked for us that day. And menu soup. Like,
oh my God.
that was so good. Like, soup,
So
quesadillas.
good.
It was, like, cold, so you're, like, holding this warm bowl with a quesadilla. That was the best meal that I think I've had.
It was so funny because all of us were just, like, silent. It was, like, pin drops and everyone was just eating.
Yeah.
And just, like...
Just be like, can I have more?
Yeah.
Can I have more?
Yeah.
Can I have more?
For sure. For me, I think the best meal was... There's 2 things that I love in life, and it's Indian food and Taco Bell. And so there was actually 2 best meals. There's one day we actually got, like, refried beans. And we made quesadillas with, like, the refried beans. And it tasted like, Taco Bell. And it was a really good day. But then there's this other day where I was missing my mom's food. And we had packets. We got, like, the ready-made packets of, like, curry. And I made rice, like, fried rice, and had it with curry. And it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. And then my last memorable meal was probably on our, like, ISGE. And it was just me, Micah, Mackenzie,
Yeah.
and Annabeth, and it was just us four, and Micah cooked the best cornbread and chili. It was so good, and like he could actually like take time to cook it and stuff because we were like already at camp. We had the day to ourselves, and we had a long day the next day, so it was so good.
Yeah, so like I know we talked about like what our day entails, but like starting from like the beginning, do any of you want to like talk about like since we wake up to like when we go to sleep, like what usually our day would entail in those 25 days?
Yeah, so most of the day, like the timing may have like been different, but like most generally, like you would first the cooks get up, and that may be like sometimes 6:30 if you have like a longer day, which even though it sounds early, like once you're going to bed at like 11 o'clock, so it's really not too bad. So cooks may get up at like 6:30 in the kitchen so they can start breakfast for everyone, and then everyone else needs to get up and like have the tents and stuff taken down, just say 7 for example. So then everyone's kind of like in the kitchen, you're making the food, some people are helping out. You can, go do whatever you need to do while breakfast is being made, and then you're making breakfast, and then after that you would go to start packing your bags once everything is good. And maybe you might have a lesson in the beginning, but sometimes you just pack your bags and then you split up into groups and then you go.
Yeah, and then you just like spend the day hiking, chilling out. There's different roles that you have in your groups, which like that helps you keep like be engaged during your hiking trip, and then you get to camp and I think the best part was when we could explode and just take everything out, change into your pajamas, sit down, like hang out, debrief and eat and just go to sleep. And the sleeping bags become really cozy after like the third day.
Even though you're sleeping on rocks sometimes, it's fine. Yeah. So after we get to camp, like you said, we'd explode. So some people would split up, make tents. Yeah. The cooks at that night would make the food for everyone. You'd have a debrief meeting with just your hiking group, so like a small group of 5 that you hiked with. You'd have your debriefing meeting, and then after dinner, what our group did, or like I think most NOLS groups do them. But what our group did was have an evening meeting. This is where we all 10 of us got together, 10 students and the 3 other instructors and liaison would get together, and we just talk about our day, like what went well, what we thought we could do differently. We might play a game. We might like talk about nature, what we learned. We might also have another lesson at this time if we couldn't get to it in the morning, or we couldn't get to it right after we exploded. And then we just like end off the day with like what's the plan for the next day.
Yeah. And we have a challenge for the next class. I think something to make it bearable, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what we did was, I don't know how it started. It started even before we got into the backcountry.
Yeah.
I feel like this was our like, I don't know, like break the ice kind of thing, I guess.
Oh, no.
Before we got to the backcountry, Mina was like, so Mina and Marissa were our instructors, but Mina was like, having like a goal of like 1,000 miles, like not 1,000, but 100 miles might like, it's not healthy. Yeah. So we were like, let's change it to how many poops we can do it. Tallies. So we were like, okay, reasonable. One person poops one time a day for like 23 days. Yeah. So our goal was 286. Yeah. That's like the max. That's not the max, but that was max. That was the average. If one person pooped a day for 13 people, that'd be 286.
Holes dug.
Holes dug. Yeah. And we got to 253.
Yeah, 252 tallies. Yeah. So our challenge for the next class, this sounds weird, but like when you're out there, you'll understand. Yeah. Like count up your tallies. Yeah. And if you have Minu as your instructor, he will make you.
Yeah, he will make you.
Evening meeting was okay. Everyone tallies.
Hold them up.
Yeah. So that was fun. And evening meeting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and you think this is like weird and anything, but everything is off the table. Yeah. In the backcountry. Everything's off the table.
No conversation is too personal.
Yeah, nothing's personal.
No. Evening meeting was like the best part of my day. Yeah, it's like where you get to unwind. Our group, I don't know how, like, I'm pretty sure I was the first acronym, but we would we started with gamut. It's that like one of the instructors, like that's what like each letter started with like a different part of the day, and then we just started doing like people's names. So I think I was the first name somehow. And we would like, it was basically the same principles. Like we would do like things that we appreciated about each other, things you wanted to own up to, tallies, which was very important, plan for tomorrow, like all of those different things. But we made acronyms for each different day, so that was like also really fun. So if you can, make evening meeting fun. Like
it was just like the small things that we did to make everything, like every aspect of our journey fun. Like tallies, seemed weird, but it was fun. We would be like, oh, we got like 13 today, let's go. Can we do this tomorrow? Oh, we're only like 200 away. Like in the very beginning, we're like, oh, we're already like 50 down.
So it's weird, but do it. It's fun. And me saying that says a lot. Because I was extremely uncomfortable going to the bathroom in the backcountry, but you'll survive.
So with like being out in the backcountry, we also picked up on a lot of like wilderness skills. We started off like very like, so Knowles is there to like prepare us to like learn more, like we learn everything about the backcountry as well. So what we did was we'd have classes, and the whole point of Knowles was first you start off with instructors, then the instructors will like slowly like ease off and let you like navigate through the to your destination on your own. And then the very last, like the last 2 days, what our group did was fully know instructors. The instructors left before we did and just went all the way to our final destination site 2 days in advance. And they left us there. We split up into two groups again, but we were left to like navigate and do everything by ourselves for living for a whole day on our own and then half a day the next day. So through our 23-day course, we would learn skills like setting up a tent, setting up a stove, reading a map, and just each class would prepare us more and more to be independent.
So the end goal, so during the last few days of your expedition, if you earn it and if your group is like skilled enough, they will let you go on like ISGT and ISGE, which is what Daria just talked about. Just being split into groups of just like the students. You don't have an instructor with you. The instructors will travel to wherever before you do. Before or after. And they will meet you there. But it's up to you and your group to get there by yourself. So that includes setting up camp, staying by yourself a night. That includes like making yourself food. That includes staying on track and getting there.
Getting on time.
And if you don't get there, then having other plans for you to get there some other way. Then the next day, maybe it might be like, oh, we're going to have to wake up even earlier and walk a little bit more.
And just like basic first aid, basic like wilderness skills, like compass reading, map reading, and stuff like that, which is, I think, it's such a useful skill to have. Like, regardless of when you will use it, it's useful.
It's just so interesting. Like, I know, like, the first couple of days when they said, like, oh, yeah, like, you can spend the night alone, I was like, not me.
Not us.
Like, how are we gonna do that? But like, you really do learn so much, and it's like gradual. Like, you'll have to, like, the first day you learn how to put a tent up. So, and then everyone learns how to put a tent up, and you learn how to do the stove. Like, you just gradually become more and more independent, and it's like crazy the skills like that I have now compared to like before I came. Like, again, never doing anything related to like the wilderness, and now like. We were able to function independently on our own for like a whole night, and survive.
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's Knowles episode. Make sure you tune in for our next very special Knowles episode as well.
This was
Kayla,
Daria,
and Chandu live from Levine Hall.
Bye, guys.
Bye.